Hey, FaithWorks family. Thank God it's Friday. It's Shanae, your marriage and family therapist. It's coming at you today to talk to you about something that many would find confrontational or controversial. So as you can see, the title is called, let's see, what did I name this one? Limit single friends and try to find married ones. Okay. So first of all, I just want to say that you should not have to get rid of every single relationship that you have when you get into a relationship with someone. Okay. Like if you are a boyfriend and girlfriend, if you are even in a committed relationship for several years, you shouldn't have to give up everyone that you knew just because you're in a relationship with someone new. With that being said, when you get married and you decide to commit yourself to that person for the long haul, please be prepared to make sacrifices in terms of how the current relationship you have with that other person may be negatively impacting your relationship. Okay. So if an extra relationship is negatively impacting your relationship, because it's inappropriate, maybe it crosses the line, maybe it just makes your partner feel uncomfortable. When you decide to get married, it says forsaking all others. Okay. So if there's an issue with your significant other, if your significant other has a problem with who you're hanging out with or how much you're spending time with that person, you must put your significant other, your married partner, first as number one priority. Okay, because when you get married, your home is your number one priority. Okay, so even before you get married, but definitely once you make that commitment to God, your marriage is number one priority under God. Okay, so with that being said, you pretty much any relationship outside of your marriage and compare it, just there's no comparison. There's no comparison. So when your wife or your husband has a problem with someone that you've met before you got married, once you decide when you get married that this is the person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with, if they have a problem with a person from your past or even your current life, your job, at the gym, somebody you met, if they're uncomfortable with any relationships that you have outside of the marriage, it must be taken into consideration, and it must be put on number one priority. Okay, because you don't want to pretty much sacrifice your solid, it's like your meat and potatoes for dessert. Now, to you, that person may be meat and potatoes. You may need that person in your life, but to your significant other, in comparison to your marriage, the relationship that you have outside of your marriage is just, it's not as important. I hate to say it like that. Your marriage is number one. Okay. If you want a successful marriage, you would keep and make your marriage be and stay number one, regardless of what feelings you hurt. That means when you decide to be committed to your woman, that means you are cutting off all other single females. Okay, unless they serve a significant part in your life. And then even then, you're pretty much going to your wife to say, listen, is it all right if I hang out, or is it all right if I do that? Everything funnels through your significant other. Okay. If you want a strong, successful marriage, your marriage has to be number one. And when you put your marriage number one, that means that everyone else falls to the wayside. Sorry, not sorry. Is true. And that goes with women as well, okay? Because there are situations where you've known a person way before you found your husband or your husband found you, and you want to continue that relationship. If you're up talking to this person all hours of the night, if that person is the first person you turn to and call when something goes down, and not your husband, yeah, you might want to check. You might want to check that. Your husband is your partner for life. That is your life partner. That means anything that happens in your life, you should be able to turn to your partner. Now, you might not always want to turn to your partner, right? But in order to maintain a strong, solid foundation and communication, you want to turn to your partner. You want to have that friendship, that relationship that says, if something goes down, if something happens, who is the first person I'm calling? My husband or my wife. I'm not calling my best friend. Because every time you go through something in your life as an individual and you share your situation with your life partner, it strengthens your relationship. And when you turn to other people outside of the relationship, well, that's where the cracks come in your marriage. That's where the cracks come in your relationship. That's where the cracks come in. And honestly, single people really, I mean, other than the fact that you have things in common from before you guys had a relationship, I mean, before you got married, single people and married people really don't have much in common. Did I say that? I mean, you might have interests like we read books or we go movies or we do this. Yes, those are things you want to cultivate your individual interests in who you were before you got married. I get that. I get that. But the idea is that you want to limit the time with your single friends because they have this is when you get married. They don't have the same sense of perspective when it comes to a we. When you're single, you're an I. When you're married, you are permanently a we. Okay? So that means when you go to the refrigerator, you're a we. But when your single friend goes to the refrigerator to get themselves something to drink, they don't have to think about the other person. When you are considering where to live, a single person could say, I'm interested in moving to New York. I don't know. But when you're married, it's a we. Every decision you make henceforth has to be taken with the consideration of your married partner. Every decision. So this idea, one of my clients I was talking to, he was a male, and his idea was that I don't have to tell my woman where I'm going. Nobody knows my plan. Nobody knows my next move. And they were interested in getting married. And I'm like, well, you know what? Maybe you're not ready for marriage because marriage takes the me out of I and the I out of we. And it leaves you with we, us, and like just us as a unit. I'm saying when it comes to your mother and father outside of your marriage, your marriage comes first. When it comes to your coworkers, your marriage comes first. When it comes to your best friend, your marriage comes first. When it comes to your children, your marriage comes first, because marriage is the foundation of your family. Of a two-parent household, marriage is the foundation of the family. And without the foundation, the house crumbles. That's why before anything is built, they build first the foundation. And what better way, the way I see it is this. Why work on building relationships outside of your foundation, right? When the most important relationship you have in your life is your foundational marital relationship. So why not put the extra effort, the extra time, the shellac or whatever, the handiwork it takes to build that strong foundation? Why not put that time in that relationship? Okay. And then, when you guys are strong, when you are in a place that you're both comfortable, then you can go outside of that. Other than that, limit single friends, guys. The mentality is just different. And it's not necessarily negative. It's not a bad thing that they're single. I think singleness is a great perspective and a great aspect of, a part of life. But when you're married, you want to find and locate married friends. People who, and I say married because even the idea of boyfriend and girlfriend is way different from marriage. Like anybody who's gotten married, they know, like, when we were boyfriend and girlfriend for 5-6 years, like, yeah, I loved her, or I loved him. But when we got married, it's just like, it's something about getting married that cements you guys together. And that through heck and high water, you are planning to maintain your relationship and stay together. So no other relationship outside of your marriage is more important. You want to limit your contact with your single friends. And let me tell you something from the perspective of a woman, it's let's say your single friend is like, hey girl, you married, but you ain't dead. Let's go out. Let's go to the club. Let's go to, let's go to, I don't know, a male strip club. Let's go to, there's just certain things that single women have more, I guess, leeway to do than wives do. And it's not that we can't do it. It's just that out of respect of our marriage and our husband, it's just certain things we don't do. And it's certain things we say no to. And we might be considered like a party pooper to our single friends. But to be honest, we are just choosing our marriage as number one relationship, as the number one relationship in our life. Outside of God, your husband or your wife is the number one. So if your wife has a problem with a relationship, gots to go. If your husband has a problem with one of your relationships, gots to go. It just has to go. Your marriage is the foundation of your family and your life. So why not put the extra effort and in time it takes into building a strong foundation with that, as opposed to working on maintaining a relationship outside of that? Now, I say limit, and that's why I don't say cut off. That's why I don't say completely, lose those friends, but you're going to have to limit it. Just, and then from a male's perspective, you might have your single friends encouraging you to go out, to go to the club, to go to a strip club, to go to certain places that, you wouldn't go there with your wife. So why go there by yourself? Yeah, I just think you want to limit your contact with your single friends, and I think you want to work on finding married ones. That's why it's so important, especially if you're young married. Like I was young married. I was married at like 22, 23. So nobody our age were married. We had no friends who were married at our age. We were like on an island on our own. And that's why I find it so important to join married groups and marriage clubs, and hooking up with coworkers at your job who are married, because they understand, or at least they're working to understand, what it means to be coupled, what it means to think as a we instead of a me. Okay. And that in regards to money, in regards to, like, a single person can go out and spend a whole lot of money. But when you're married, you have to think, we have what kind of bills? We are trying to save for what? Like, what goal do we have right now? Whereas a single person, they can just think of themselves. In all aspects of their life, they can think of themselves until they are married and made that lifelong commitment in front of God. They only have to really think and consider themselves. So you want to be around and surround yourself with people who think more like you, in the sense of we, in the sense of, a venting partner that says, my wife is getting on my nerves. I can't even stand her right now. And you list that, that husband on the other end listens and be like, yo, all right, well, I gotta go. My kids is calling, my wife is calling. They understand that you have an obligation. You might not always like your responsibilities, but as a wife and as a husband, you are obligated and you are held to a higher level of commitment than a single person would be. So yes, you can have sometimes fun with your single friends, but I want to encourage you to limit the time you have with your single friends. Encourage your husband to limit the time they have with their single friends, and work to find married ones. Connect with married ones. I know what is it? Drake says no new friends, but I'm a strong believer that is not true. You want to cultivate married couples in your life because they understand what it means to be coupled, to think as a we, to think as a system that works together, that you can't make decisions without consulting me, as I can't make decisions without consulting you. All right, so I don't want to drag on too long, but Yeah, I also want to encourage you, if you are struggling in your marriage or your relationship, you can have therapy with me via video chat or via phone. I can do phone conferences. I actually do phone conferences where the husband and the wife are on the phone and they talk to me. If you are interested in that, visit my website, www.faithworkstherapy.com. Fill out the intake and consultation form, and I will get it immediately and respond back to you. And if you're concerned about the fee and the cost, I am pretty costly. But I would definitely be willing to work with every one of my couples. I'm already willing to work with my couples and my families about what price is more comfortable for them, especially during the pandemic. So if you're finding situations that are happening in your relationship that you guys are fighting more, arguing about, and you need a mediator, I can be that person for you to just kind of listen to both of you and present back to you what I hear and provide you with feedback that is non-judgmental. Also, if you need individual therapy, listen, sometimes you just need a vent buddy. Sometimes you just need someone to be unbiased and to not judge you, in how you feel. And as a therapist, I I have been bred and ingrained to think in a non-judgmental way, in a more open way. So if you are struggling with depression, anxiety, if you are just struggling with your past thoughts, if you are struggling with isolation and loneliness, this is a very lonely time for especially single people who wish they had a relationship and wish they had a marriage, or maybe they're regretting the one that they lost. If you need to talk to someone, I am definitely here. I'm willing to work with anyone regarding their comfortability for being able to pay. Again, just visit my website. If you want a more direct access to me, you can leave me a voice message at 484-949-3355, which is the FaithWorks line directly, and I answer all my voicemails within 24 hours. Yeah, so today's discussion topic was definitely on couples. Let me know what you think. Tell me what you think in the comments about limiting single friends and married couples. Just struggling with this idea of friendships outside of marriage. And I know clients who have a rule that there's no opposite sex friends. So that may be something that you can talk about in your marriage, to say, listen, we're married now. We ain't girlfriend and boyfriend no more. We are here to make it for the long haul, for our lives. So I really don't feel comfortable, babe, with you having a woman who's a friend who I'm supposed to be your friend. I'm supposed to be your best friend. I'm supposed to be the one you call, you talk to. Now, you can have male friends, but opposite sex friends, I don't know. Same thing with the men, like, I don't feel comfortable with my wife having another male as her best friend to talk and confide and laugh with. That person should be your significant other. If you want a successful marriage. Sorry. If you want a successful marriage. And I'm sure there's outliers out there. There's exceptions. So don't hate me because of what I'm saying. If you made a marriage 20, 30 years and you've had a best friend who was of the opposite sex. But for most people, your partner should be the person that you want to cultivate and strengthen your relationship with. All right. So guys, remember, faith works. I hope you guys are enjoying your day on this rainy afternoon. Again, visit my website, www.faithworks.com. Oh, I'm sorry, www.faithworkstherapy.com. Also, if you need to reach me directly, 484-949-3355. Please comment your thoughts below as regards to singleness and limiting single friends. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel, okay? Thanks. Have a great day, guys. And remember, faith works.